seems to be softening its stance and now showing signs of listening to the agitated youth. This became evident after President William Ruto and the MPs who support the bill openly praise the youthful protesters. Our reporter, Fidik Olochasmo.
With only one day left before the 2024 finance bill is formally presented for third reading in Parliament, with signs indicating probability of the bill sailing through, considering the support it received last Thursday when it was read for the second time in Parliament.
As members of that opinion say aye.
The bill, which was supported by 204 MPs and 15, continued to face strong opposition from Kenyans, especially the youth, who are protesting across the country, demanding that the bill be withdrawn.
We are peaceful! We are peaceful!
And now, these protests seem to be bearing fruit for the youth, as signs indicate that the government is softening its stance. MPs who support the bill have today shown solidarity with the protesting youth and easing the hard stance they exhibited last week.
Vijana ni vijana wetu, lazima tuwasikize, lazima tutembee na wao, lazima tujue ni nini wanataka kutokea kule nyumbani mpaka penye wanatembelea. Kwa mimi nataka niambia hao vijana, ninawapongeza sana kwa sababu kwanza juzi walifanya maandamano yao. Hata rafiki yangu babu wengine alijaribu kuenda siju kuwaongelesha, wakakataa. Kwa sababu hao vijana kwanza sio wa kabila. Wako kwa generation mzuri sana. Hawa vijana hawajui wewe ni kutoka kona gani. Hawa wanajitetea na mambo yao. Na mimi nataka niwahakikishie. Na hata niliongea na rais nikamwambia hawa vijana lazima uwasikize.
Hao vijana sio wendazimu. Ukiwasikia vile wanaongea ni watu ambao wako na akili, ni madaktari, ni lawyers. And this is my personal view about those young people. Kwamba tuwaheshimu, tuwasikize. Polisi wasianze kuua hao vijana, wasianze kuwapiga risasi. It is their right to demonstrate and picket. Na mimi kama katibu mkuu wa chama cha UDA ninasema hao vijana wapewe nafasi wakae na rais, because rais ni rais kwa sababu ya hao vijana. Wapewe nafasi, viongozi wao wakuje waeleze masuala yao kwa njia ambayo rais anaweza ona points, na yale ambayo tunaweza implement tuwasikie, because we have formed government courtesy of them. We are ruling this country kwa sababu yao. So hatuwezi wakataza. So ningependa kuomba Inspector General, wakati wale Gen Z wanafanya maandamano, tafadhali don't kill any young soul.
Rais wa nchi hii anadhamini hawa vijana, anawachali, anawasikiza. Ile tunaomba ni kwamba mambo iendeshwe kulingana na sheria.
This comes shortly after President William Ruto also showed signs of softening his stance and being ready to listen and collaborate with the youth. As this unfolds, MPs who supported the bill have continued to explain their reasons for backing the bill.
When that bill was brought before the committee, it had all the issues you guys were saying about bread, excise duty on bread, on pampers, on oil, mobile data. We ensured we removed, delete all.
As soon as this bill is passed, it is going to make a difference in this country.
Fidik Oluoch, KTN News.
All right, just looking at some of the editorial cartoons here. We have Arab Singh there, and they're saying that, of course, also is walking among all in the cemetery, that even the dead maybe might be taxed. I don't know. I leave it for you as well. This is according to Ugado. It has been, of course, also looking at last week, everyone protesting that it should come down. Zakayo, come down, climb down from the tree, and the revolution shall be streamed. Of course, tech-savvy Gen Z as well, and also the heavy-handedness of the police as we've seen it right now. 2 lives have been lost, a score of others have been injured, as it were. And of course, also, we have abduction of some of the medics, and people are protesting regarding that as well. Okay, I have removed the extra dosage it can now pass. This is still a finance bill. Those contentious amendments still gather momentum and questions around it, but everyone is saying we should just reject the finance bill in its entirety. That is where we are on the sharpest edge of a dilemma, as on the horns of dilemma as a country. Pass it all the same, Finance Bill 2024. And yes or no, vote. We are in trouble. Right, I just want to hear from you, Dr. Makali. We're holding court to Dr. Makali Muli, who is a member of Parliament, Kitui Central, also Wilson Sossion, CS, Tourism, and Dr. James Nyikal, on, of course, who is a member of Parliament for Seme, and regarding this particular question, because I hear, Dr. Nyikal, you saying moving forward, even tomorrow, this bill should be rejected in its entirety. Why?
You see, you must see it in the context of the nation. When you had public participation, people didn't like the bill. They suggested all these amendments, and then the report came. And now, when the amendments reached the floor of the House that they were proposed, we actually discovered that new things were added. One particular thing was added in Clause 66, and that is the road levy, which wasn't even in the participation. So then we passed it, and now this actually provoked anger. People are angry. People now don't want amendment. They say reject the bill. And we must listen, this is the mood of the people, Debal. Yesterday, I had three that actually made me know this is the mood of the country, whether we like it or not. I went to a Java place to have a cup of tea, and the attendant who was serving recognized me as a member of Parliament, and we said aye. Then I just said, well, I'm a member of Parliament, but I voted no. She got excited, and they called colleagues, and they surrounded me and said, that is what we want. And as I was leaving the same place, and I find as we're crossing a zebra crossing, a mother who had 2 children in a car stops and tells me, Dr. Nyikal, congratulations, you voted no. These are the people you took care of. They are now in the Z generation, and we support them to go. Even parents support this. So it is the whole country. Then in my own...
Even the churches are supporting
in my own house, we had the family function. And all the children, some are my grandchildren, some are my children, my nephews, they are saying, Daddy, no. Babu, no. So this is the mood of the country. So when you have reached a situation where the country has rejected something here, the least we can do is really reject this bill. But what probably the government, the Kenya Kwanza team can do is actually withdraw it and then get a new one. Now there will be issues that if you withdraw it or if you reject it, what happens? This is basically a miscellaneous. Finance bill is always a miscellaneous amendment. It's amending very many acts through the finance bill. So there's a Finance Act 2023, which in itself was also rather punitive. So people accepted that and they're going on. We can go with that. Now people will say, oh, if you reject it, it will take 6 months. But I know this maybe can be corrected. But anything in the House which the standing order says that, oh, you must take 6 months, anything with the leave of the House can actually give leave. But so if we reject this bill, then it is the only way to appease what is going on. Actually, it gives the Kenya Kwanza administration an opportunity to now reorganize itself. But if we pass this bill with the anger people have, they are going to deal with an angry nation led by youths who are supported by everybody. I don't think that's how I would like us to be governed in the coming few months before we know what this comes out.
Yeah, so if it is rejected, or what happens? You say there's a window period of 6 months?
If it is rejected, then you can bring another one in 6 months. And if that is too long, because the normal requirement is that by the time you pass the budget, there should be a finance bill immediately afterwards. Now, if that is too long, then the question comes, what do we do without a new finance act? the first thing I know is there is an old Finance Act that can be used to raise revenue. It may raise less revenue than this one.
What is the design
because
of the new?
Yes. Yeah, it was designed. But there are even other options. We are in a critical situation. If need be, we could even later on, if we haven't raised enough revenue, see if we do supplementary budgets to bring down our budget so that it meets that. But the other option is withdraw it. If they withdraw it, I think they can bring it back as soon as they are ready. So to me, I'm seeing innovations. You have to be innovative even within the constitution, within the law. They put it in the reality of the country as it is now. So mine, simple. Withdraw it or reject in totality. The best would be they withdraw it, then they come with a new bill. This one, people have rejected. Plus the amendments, people have rejected.
I don't know what was the sentiment in this church, because also of where I attend church as well, that was the same sentiment. You know, people are rejecting the bill. The church is one voice is saying no. Honorable Makali. So moving forward, as it is right now, it is the voice of the parents, it's the voice of the church, it's the voice of the youth collectively who are rejecting this bill. And they're saying, no, we don't even want the amendments. We want just to reject the entire bill as it is. So it is back to the drawing board. But it seems tomorrow is now crunch time for you. Looking at the numbers, you don't hold any sway as the opposition. Yeah, but 204, I wanted just to ask a very critical question regarding the bribery. That you have the UDA member of parliament from Juja claiming that each and every MP who voted for yes was bribed with 2 million shillings.
Who voted for yes?
Yes.
You know these issues of bribery in the house.
Because yeah, you cannot really have the cheek and temerity to come to
very common things. People would always talk about them, but from where I sit, personally, I'm not aware. I didn't pick that intelligence.
Well, but you have a copy of the People Daily, do you?
But since it's
in a publication, it's not really a hearsay.
That's what I'm saying. You know, the MP was saying it. The good thing is he was in the team which voted yes.
Yes.
So maybe they were taken care of. But from where I sit, I did not pick that intelligence. But let me just but
what do you think about it? Even if you did pick that it's intelligence, you can't just slide it away like that.
This is what we are saying. Whether you are given money or not given money, you need to vote with your conscience in terms of what Kenyans have said. And this has been confirmed by Honorable Nyikal, and I also want to confirm it.
Let me just read a snippet for us to, yes, it's here, it says, Kaimburi, if you can open our page 5 of the People Daily.
I have not got that.
People Daily is here. I have a copy there, it is also on the screen. It says some MPs who voted for the finance proposals have said the measures will benefit their constituents. MPs were offered 2 million shillings each to vote for the controversial 2024 finance bill to move to the committee stage despite spirited protests. Let me try and zoom in so that you can see clearly. There we go. So MPs were offered 2 million shillings each to vote for the controversial 2024 finance bill to move to the committee stage despite spirited protest by civil society groups, opposition lawmakers and young people. Juja MP George Koimburi claimed yesterday. Some 204 lawmakers voted for the tax collecting proposals while 115 rejected. The bill will move to the third reading. If approved, at that stage, it will go to the President William Ruto, who will either sign it or send it back to the National Assembly with his recommendations. So here it is. So if we're talking around 204 times 2 million shillings.
That's 400 million. Is that not the truth?
Indeed.
So that's what we are saying. You know, as we said earlier, and I think
why is it a do or die to actually pass this particular finance bill?
Now
with
look at it
allegations
this way.
Of corruption.
Look at it this way. This bill is supposed to raise a total 302 billion. This bill of 2024. The bill of 2023, the act of 20, because that's now already an act. The act of 2023 was expected to raise 2.62 trillion in totality. Out of that, they have already managed 2.3 trillion, a deficit of 300 billion. Now, if that act was not able to raise 300 billion, you have another act here which proposed additional 302, and the assumption was that you will have collected the 2.62. So already we are talking of a deficit of 600 when you add this 1 billion. And I think that's why I agree with the Honorable Yukal. Two quick things the government can do, and we have seen it's all that they don't listen. This government claims to be a listening government, but for sure it is not. We have said, looking at the mood of this country where we are today, and with our young people, where we are, if I were the president, and I'm happy that I'm not, if I were the president, what I would have done, there are two things you can do. You can step down this bill and go back and consult. As he says now, he wants to consult the young people. Talk with them, realize what is the problem. If you step the bill down, you don't have to wait for 6 months to bring it back. So if he's able to talk to them within a month, he can easily bring the bill back to Parliament within a month. A bill can be stepped down at any stage of the process. You can step it down at the first reading, you can step it down at the second reading, you can step it down at the third reading. It's a matter of the majority leader saying, we are stepping this bill down till further notice. So they do their consultation, the young people, and when they are ready, the majority will bring the bill back. The other thing they can do is they can actually withdraw the bill in totality and say, this bill 2024 is already cancelled, it's not there. You say no to it, and we have withdrawn it, so what will happen? They will have a financing gap of 302 billion automatically. And then you can go back to the expenditure side of the budget and look at what are the potential things you can reduce or you can phase out to another financial year so that you balance your budget with that all of 302. That is a very likely thing. The other thing you can do is then you can also talk to your friends out there, because you are saying borrowing is not possible anymore. We are at a very bad state. Either you negotiate for additional grants, so that you find your. But I don't know. There's one young girl who has said a very important thing. He has said, and I think that was it's like Honorable Sossion was brushing it. What did she say? She said, "Why should you construct a house worth 400 million and renovate the same house with 600 million?" What now she's doing? She's questioning whether this figure of 600 makes sense to anybody. And I've said many times, and at the Bal, I'm a champion of saying, let's look at our expenditure side of the equation. She's saying, maybe in this budget we are talking about 3.92 trillion. Maybe if somebody was more keen, you could easily recoup your 302 billion without changing anything and achieve the same outcomes.
Which is true.
Which is true. Because the thing is, if you said, for example, like you have said, if they are able to bribe MPs with 400 million, that is already a saving of 400 million. If you say,
away from the 2.2.
If you say, don't renovate the house of the deputy president this year, let's push it to 1 year. He cannot die because with the 1 year, that's another saving of 600 million. If you say, and they are saying it, if you say,
that's already 1B.
For this year, can we ask the spouses of the president and the deputy president to remain like the other housewives and to take care of the family for this year, so that by next year they resume their national activities? That would be another saving of about a billion. So, these things is not rocket science. It's a matter of just people getting it right. And that's why I'm saying the young people we are dealing with are serious scholars. Let's not think we are dealing with street people. These are not the guys who come with stones to throw. These guys have come with their brains, and they are mobile phones. And the police has to remain warned. In the past, they have been shooting people, beating people senselessly. This time you attempt, you will be, a video will be taken of yourself, and a paw will be on your neck as an individual policeman. So the state will not take care of you. That's why we have a paw in this country. And if you're a policeman and you play around with the law, you will carry this cross alone. Nobody else will help you to carry the cross. That's the time there will be no IG, the Commissioner of Police, tell you to take orders from. That time you will be in jail alone. And we have seen them being jailed for many years. Your family will suffer at individual level. So let's not stop this nonsense. They are thinking about these guys. They are saying, this government has serious misses, which I wonder whether at any point somebody... Look at what happened last week. The finance bill is coming to the House, Libao, for debate. Then the CS Treasury does a letter saying, if you don't pass this finance bill, these are the things you will suffer. What is item number one of things you will reduce the expenditure from? Internship program. Who is now in this internship program? The people you see in the streets. What is the second program to suffer? He says, if you do this, I will slash CDF. Who benefits from CDF? Bursaries, the people you see in the streets. So, even from a strategic point of view,
it's hitting you at the point when you know you'll suffer the most. You as legislators, isn't it?
As will not suffer.
No, because of course CDS come through you.
Yeah, that's. He thinks, you know, from his thinking, he thinks he's now going to hit the MP. Far from the truth. It's a Gen Z which is going to suffer because we give colleges bursaries from the money is going to reduce. So even strategically, the things you are saying you'll be touching in the budget are the things when Gen Z is targeting them. So what do? Instead of now reducing the fire, they had fuel to it. To make things worse, our whole CS of Treasury says, I will be suspending employment for 1 year. It was in the papers. Now, when you suspend employment for 1 year, these are the guys without the degrees. It means for the next 1 year, they cannot secure any employment opportunity in the government. And you have all your degrees, you have seen them, some of them are doctors. If you realize the bar, they didn't look for doctors from Kenyatta. They had their own doctors who are unemployed in their midst. So by the time you have a problem, they are taking care of you immediately. And these are not doctors from hospitals, doctors who are in the streets because they have no jobs. So this matter is not as light as you want to take it. It's a serious matter. The third item, which is very critical, and I must say this about, is the issue of corruption. These guys, because now they have access to social media, and to them communication is effective. They see these guys who are saying 40 years, they go to fundraising, carrying money in sacks, and they're giving millions cash. You see, someone giving 5 million cash. And then you're unemployed there, and this guy says you've taxed more. Why would you take 5 million cash if it is well earned in cash and not a check? Or a TT, you say, I'll transfer this money to your bank, to your charge account. Which by the time you carry this money in cash, it means this money cannot come in the right way.
It's being laundered.
It's laundered. So these are the issues, and then people can see. So you are carrying money in sacks, giving in fundraising events, and then people are there not able to eat. As I told you, this guy has no house, he has no wife because he can't marry, he can't take care of a family. He has nothing to lose. He will go to the street and eat you hard. Kenya Kwanza government, you must listen. If you don't listen, you listen twice before you are done about it.
Mr. Sossion, so it seems like the president will actually
of course, those are
take this bill back to Parliament. He will not really assent to it. No, let me ask the question. Do you see that the president will he assent to it, or will take it back, as I say, for recommendations again in Parliament?
You've asked me a straight question. I cannot call the president to tell me what he intends to think now.
No, from your own assessment.
No. Allow me to make comments. Yeah. Allow me to make comments.
So you don't want to make comment on what I'm asking?
No.
You want to make comments on what you want to make comments on?
You don't give me 10 minutes.
But I'm giving you time as well, so that I can give you 10 minutes.
You ask me a straight question. I can give you a straight answer. But this is it. The finance bill will go through the committee of the whole tomorrow. And that is not going to be postponed, unfortunately. It's the requirement of the law. It is scheduled. It will go through the committee of the whole and the third reading. So Professor Nyikal and Makali.
So there's no flexibility as Nyikal is putting it.
No, it's wrong.
No, I'm saying,
right now, there's a bill. Let me just. There's a bill.
Let him clarify.
There's the drugs bill, which actually partly has gone through the committee of the whole house. It has actually been stood down. So at any stage, you can actually.
That is the wish, but I'm saying. But I'm saying, from where I am and what I know,
it can't be stood down.
It will proceed the business of the finance bill will proceed tomorrow, and then conclude the budget within this week, so that chapter is closed. There are urgent issues within the country. There are urgent issues that needs to be done. For example, if we are talking about employing 46,000 teachers on PNP, they will be employed using money derived from Kenyans through taxes. If we are talking about an additional 20,000 teachers, because there's an urgent need in school, that will be done through public resources, and those are taxes. If we are talking about planning to employ more security officers, police officers, medics, these are the Gen Zs, and these are the job opportunities that are upcoming. If we are talking about implementing the better framework, particularly on the aspect of agriculture, strengthening irrigation, and creating employment and promoting manufacturing and value addition, it is not going to be done through political ping-pongs that we are engaged in. It will be done pragmatically using resources. And if we are talking about strengthening CDF and to deliver and ICT hubs in every constituency through CDF, so that we can open up employment opportunities to the Gen Zs, the youth, then it will be done using resources through the CDF. If we are talking about, and Dibal, there's been a lot of debate about the county revenue allocation, which has now been enhanced to 400 billion. The irony in Kenya is that we demand for services, but we don't talk of where the revenue comes from. And the president has agreed. All these things are key. It's affecting our youth. It's affecting our country. It's about development of our country. Let us plan how to raise revenue and indeed how to spend. And that is why I'm telling you, once Parliament passes the bill, the president shall ascend it into law and proceed to implement the development agenda of the country. The political ping-pongs should not stop the president from doing what is right within the country. And while at the same time, the Gen Z generation concern shall be addressed, they will be listened to. And it's not about saying, yes, stop the finance bill. That is misinformation. They shall be informed accordingly, and the government will debate with them on their concerns and what needs to be done. The allegation of every member of parliament being paid 2 million, my simple calculations for those who voted is 408 million. I think this country, there's a shortage of fools in this country. There are no fools in this country. So that is a comment of an idiot laying an allegation that cannot be proved. I don't think members of parliament in the 13th parliament, any one of them can be bribed. None. I don't think so. If there was any bribery, somebody should put it to full proof. And finally, I've seen one comment by one young good lady that we want to know how this money is spent. Debate. That should now be the dominant agenda of the Gen Z. How is our money spent? How much goes to education? How much goes to health? Are we going to get health comprehensively for free? From 1st of July, there will be a rollout of universal health coverage in the country. And Professor Nyikal sits in the health committee. And it has come a time that no Kenyan should pay even a single cent for health care. It should be made by the state. It should be. Kenya must provide comprehensive quality health cover to all households. That is one burden being offloaded. It is the benefits of the taxes. And I think as reasonable leaders, those are things you should be talking about, the investment areas. The problem, Dibal, is that with those members of parliament who are fighting it, including even my learned friends here who are doctors ahead of their titles, why are they not persuasive enough to shift the debate to Kenyans so that we argue about where the money is spent? And this is where we now talk about corruption. Those involved in corruption. I don't agree, and we don't support anybody, whether within Kenya Kwanza framework or outside Kenya Kwanza, involved in corruption. And so the big debate that Kenya should shift to is what the taxes does, so that they can pay the taxes. If you look at the American system, citizens' perception in terms of paying taxes, they are very proud to pay taxes. That I must pay the taxes that I'm supposed to pay. Because the taxes I pay translate to services. And in simple terms, in terms of social services, education must be provided for free and paid for by the state. It is going to be done through this taxation, healthcare, and I've outlined all these. So why do we demand from the same government expenditure lines, delivery of services, using money, and then we are frustrating the revenue collection measure? And when we look at Kenya in terms of tax collection ratio to GDP, it's still at 14%. Many countries are at 22%. And this finance bill of 2024 is supposed to raise it from 14 to 16%. And gradually we should stabilize at 22. By the time you're at 22, the revenue collection should be at 5 trillion. Dibal, when Moi retired, revenue collection in this country was at 250 billion. And when Kibaki retired, it was at 1 trillion. And when Uhuru exited, it rose to 2.1 trillion. So that if you look at the graph, it should go up. And our expenditure budget has grown over time. We must also grow the revenue collection base, while at the same time putting the money into prudent use. I agree. And the Gen Z, if there has to be a legal framework or a policy framework, government intervention policy framework, so that they are part of budget tracking from CDF. What do the MPs do with the CDF? Let us track that budget with the Gen Zs. What are the governors doing with the 400 billion allocation? Let us budget track and know what it does. And we know where there is wastage. What the money is being done at the National Treasury and expenditures across ministries, there must be proper budget tracking by the Gen Zs and government. And I think this is where we should mainstream Gen Zs to participate, to be part of all this. So that they are part of governance and running of this country. We must prepare them so that they understand their country, they understand their budget making process, they understand their revenue collection, and we are all part of eliminating corruption. And at the end of the day, once services are delivered, development is delivered, hope is delivered, and jobs are created for the youth of this country, then this conversation will move to the next level and the country will change. And that is why the president has said very sincerely, and I know the president believes in the youth, he believes in the young generation, he believes in empowering young leaders. That is in his philosophy, it's not in doubt. And so the Gen Z generation who are out here, they have the best friend who understands them best in the name of the president and William Ruto. And there's nowhere it's going. And I think this engagement, we shall have to engage. And Dibal, you asked a straight question. Is the president going to assent to the bill? Yes, automatically. Once approved by parliament, he shall sign, it shall be law, and we shall proceed to address the needs of the Gen Zs and the needs of the Republic of Kenya.
After now, you've passed the bill.
Of the economy of Kenya and the welfare of all people of Kenya.
But where is the listening? Where is the listening then? If you're saying you want to listen, you want to engage, you go full steam ahead and pass the bill, which they are rejecting.
Of course,
it doesn't make any lick of sense.
No.
It doesn't make any lick of sense. Where is the listening? Listening, it begins now.
Listening is discussing. You listen. They listen to us. We listen to them.
Listening is actually addressing the matter at hand, which is this finance bill. So if you're sent to it and then you want to listen later,
your understanding of listening does not mean now you stop this thing the way it is being. What our brothers here want us to do is to derail any source of revenue so that we don't undertake any development so that we fail.
That's not true.
That is not what we are saying.
That is your agenda.
No, that is not what we are saying.
It is in fact.
Logical. Let's help him see concludes. I want you to help you this way. Now, help us this way. We are saying, can you stop looking at the finance side, the revenue raising, and look at where you are spending the money.
And
Exactly what you have said.
I'm talking about expenditure here for the longest time.
That's
but
what
you are reading
that's what
something else.
That's what we are saying. And
we should take this in agencies now to track the budget and the expenditure.
But you know, you are saying it has to be signed. You know, you can still fail to sign this bill and still achieve the same outcomes. The bill are very simple analysis. When you look at the critical path analysis, it is a very simple theory. You look at what ways can I achieve the same outcome and which is the cheapest. I'm saying when you look at this budget, you need to list what are my outputs and say, I want to achieve these outputs. If you can achieve the same outputs without the finance bill, you're home and dry. That's what he's not picking. You don't have to sign the bill. You can still achieve the same outputs by doing what we were saying earlier. Instead of a renovation of house costing 600 million, you can allocate 30 million. You have 7580. Then do the same with other items. And you still get your 302B. That's what we're
right. Let me come. You know, there's another serious concept of governance. It does not matter how good something is. You must bring the people. The people must accept it. The people can accept something even if they feel it is not part of them.
They need to cohere
Where
around
we
it.
are now, we need to bring the country back so that they can listen to what the government wants to do for the people. But if, like, exactly what he's saying is the problem. That's how the Gen Z are feeling. We will pass it, the president will sign it.
Then we'll talk later.
Then we'll talk later. Now, that alone is actually a problem. And you see, he's saying that, and he's just one member of parliament. He is not even considering that what has happened may change the thinking of other members of parliament, even those who said yes. Now, if he believes so strongly that despite what is happening, the 204 people who said yes are still going to say yes, we have a problem as a country. And if he knows, he's sitting here, and he knows the president will sign it. Now, we are talking of a member of parliament, an educated person who has been able, and then what is he telling the Gen Z? That whatever they think, whatever they say, and it is us, it will pass. Now, that is wrong. But now let's come to the other issue. He said that this ping pong that we are having cannot force the press to do anything. Do you know there's something we are losing in all this? What is the role of parliament in all this? He's confirming what to me is appearing, that parliament exists to have relevance. It is what the president wants. And therefore we must also link it with this thing, this allegation of corruption. This is what you brought, a day before we went to vote, and that is the reason why I rejected it. We had been asked to go for money, and as you can see, money is now carried in sacks here in Kenya. He said, we were told that every vote supporting the bill would see the voters receive 2 million shillings. I asked why the money was being given to MPs without questioning too much. Now, he's saying it's unbelievable that that can happen. Even me before, I would have thought it's unbelievable. You're saying it's unbelievable that 400 million will be spent like that. I would also have found it unbelievable before. But what I've seen, the BAL, people who are close and linked to the government, go to Harambes with something that had disappeared in this country. I saw it in those old days of the late President Moi. There was this guy who was in transport. Was it Kuria Kanyingi? Yeah, who was carrying money in bags. And I was in a funeral in my hometown, and the UDA supporters who came talk about UDA, when after the prayer and you are giving this sadaka that you give, and when he came, he said he gave the sadaka. Then he now said the choir, you will get this. There were clean bundles of money fresh from the bank, and then I don't know which group. Then people started now applauding and said, give more. Then a boy appears with a bag, the bag, with money in it. And for every praise you pull out, I think there were 50 shilling notes or 100 shilling notes in bundles. Now you saw when we were in Omabay sometime, when they were having this thing, a whole stadium, and people are coming and getting 1,000 shillings each. Now, you spend money like that, and you now want people to believe that you actually are using their money well. That is why we say, let's go back before we raise these tasks. And that's why I'm saying, if our them, as Honorable my friend has said, I would pull this bill back. And then go and now look at this. Where are we spending money and so on?
Before you proceed,
now you are talking of what the money will be used for.
No,
University.
Before you go, because we had raised the issue of NHIF, and of course now we know by July the 1st also we are shifting back to SHIF. Why then are we not sanitizing or trying to find what really went wrong with NHIF in terms of the scandals, in terms of the corruption therein? We have a loss of almost 20 billion shillings in NHIF. And no one is really talking about this 20 billion shillings that has been lost through forgery and fake claims and corruption even within the NHIF. We've seen some even the receptionists as well. They're earning less than 100,000, yet they have masonettes. They have more than 8 V8s, you know, in their compounds at the end of the day. And we're just swiftly not talking about these issues and moving so smoothly to SHIF before addressing why the corruption, the 20 billion shillings was lost. How true are we, even the money that we're going to contribute to SHIF right now is not going through the same loopholes that have not been plugged with the system, within the same system that is being created right now?
You have said that, but let me leave that alone.
No.
You have said
you are in the whole committee.
I think I'm coming.
In fact, these are the questions you should be raising in the floor of the House.
We actually had a report. Our committee put a report, and we actually showed where the points are. It is back to the ministry and back to NHIF. We have done that. Now, that has not been acted on. But once still...
But can you appreciate that there's corruption still in NHIF? And,
yes.
And it has not been addressed.
Don't ask me...
And why will it be you are remaining so that... You're remaining very mealy-mouthed as a committee regarding this corruption and how we are just easing off to SHIF right now with the same problems, with the same system.
Okay. When we had the social health insurance bill, you remember the position I took. One of the greatest source of corruption which has been in NHIF is actually fraud in claims. And we have brought this out before. And during that time we said, the best thing we can do is look at the structure that allows this. And we said, the proposal in the bill was horrible, that the claims will actually be outsourced. And then we said, then why are we having an institution at all? If the claim is what insurance is, we actually fought so hard. Eventually the compromise was made. So it's not something that has not been raised. And this is why I'm saying, when you are talking tough and saying it will be done, Kenyans don't believe you. But let me say, he has brought the issue of universal health cover. The main thing about universal health cover is the money that is coming from the people. That is what we have raised in NHIF. So most of the issues we are talking about in the budget, NHIF is just one of them. So the money for that universal health cover is money that is coming from the contributions people will make to NHIF. That is already passed in law. It's not even part of the bill we are talking now. So you cannot argue that if you don't have this, then you really can't do social universal health cover. Maybe you can definitely do some very significant parts of it, except only the primary health cover, because that money, there's already a law with it that has passed what we are going to pay. So that is not sincere. When you talk of university funding, we told people last year in the last finance bill. Later on, we had the university funding, new university funding mode that was in place where you are going to fund according. Now, has that worked? Kids haven't got their money in the universities. We talk of capitation to schools. Is it happening? Now, when you have had a situation where what you have promised people have not worked, and they are seeing expenditure, people are around you, close to the government, being very opulent and extravagant, and the things they were the promise are not saying, that is the time to look back and say, we need to talk to the people. But you can't tell them, we'll pass it, it will be signed. Then what are you going to talk? So I think there's even a question of sincerity that people should do. And you have people like Honorable Sudi talking, and the people who you go and sing a lot of, and some of them have said they don't even have to come to parliament. There's nothing being done in parliament. And people miss parliament, many cities. You see them around, they look. The big thing that we're not discussing, what is the future of parliament if we go like this? That's another important issue.
Okay, Honorable Sossion, before you contribute on that as well. No, you get a rebuttal. Okay, give me your rebuttal, then I'll ask the question, because you're due for a session break.
Rebuttal. Professor Nyikal is the chair of Health Committee.
No, that is wrong.
No, he's a member of the Health Committee, yes, and for long, and a former PS for Health for that matter. And he knows too well that universal health coverage, once declared, part of its expenditure is borne by government. There are millions of households in this country who will not be able to pay their contribution. They are classified as indigents, and the indigents are the poorest of the poor. It's a huge population, and that will be covered by government. It will be paid for by taxpayers, and it has to be budgeted for through the line ministry. And so such funds must be availed by the state. So above those who are able, aside from households that are able to pay for themselves for the health coverage as provided in the new laws and pieces of legislation, those who can't pay will be paid for by the state. And that is how to achieve the universal health coverage. So Professor Nyikal, I'm sure you can't deny that specific fact. The indigents, who pays for the indigents? As per the law, it is the government, and the president has stated about it.
Thank you.
And that is why there is that.
Okay, let me follow up with that question, Honorable Sossion, because I wanted to ask you. So, yes.
For the university loan, I also need to make a rebuttal.
Yeah, you will.
Our universities were collapsing.
Okay. Honorable Sossion, kindly, allow me to ask the question.
Yeah,
so we've collected the SHIF as it is right now, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's being collected. Why is it being invested in infrastructure bonds?
Whether it's being invested in...
Why is it being invested in infrastructure bonds?
And it is not something new. He was a member of SHIF, I believe, NHIF. NHIF has been investing in treasury bills, in infrastructure bonds, and other. Those are modes of saving and growing the savings within the funding.
Does the law allow this?
Is it the way to work? Looking at the social schemes all over the world, and if you go to the East, even Japan, the domestic borrowing to finance development programs is normally done in partnership with the local social schemes, like the saving schemes like NSSF. NSSF has been trying to get involved.
NSSF is different. NSSF specifically on NHIF.
SHIF, if that provision was there and was approved by the law board and is in an act, then it was done. But can we talk about the bigger thing? Corruption
that's a bigger thing for me.
The last time we were discussing this thing of investment, the position of the committee, the position we have said, you can only have investment if you have surplus, which means you have covered everything and everybody has been taken care of. Now, if now you are investing,
let him finish.
So if you are investing, and he's saying that we cannot now implement other elements, we have been, even these indigents, it will be very hard in this country to actually take all indigents in one go. It will have to be gradual bringing them in. It is not a must that all the money that the indigents covered, you start tomorrow.
Exactly, and that's the point. Why are you going to invest and yet you have hospitals which are dilapidated?
You cannot run a UHC that discriminates against some citizens. If there are citizens who will not be able to pay and you are paying for some, who will cover for the rest? And it ceases to be universal.
No, he's
the road to the universal
he's
coverage.
drawing us into an argument which is so technical. Even how those indigents are identified, there's something called the proxy means test or means testing. Now, those are details which will allow you on how do you bring those people in.
But
so
then,
let's
but
not
then
get into
Dibal,
that.
but then
let's
Dibal
discuss.
is admitting that government will have to pay, and in fact, he's talking about gradual.
Exactly.
And that is sheer admission. But then the fact is, the principal fact is, government will pay for indigents, whether gradually or wholly, or all at once, or instant. Now, this business of investing as NHIF money in the treasury bills, I don't think it's going to apply anymore with the rollout of UHC, because
this gentleman is derailing us.
It is massive, and that brings me to the aspect of corruption. I'm not derailing you. It is the same item that has been talked about. Why should we invest
because
in the
if I want to discuss implementation, the biggest failure in this government is thinking that when they have a policy, they'll implement it in one day. And that is why even that universal will have a problem. That is why the university funding has a problem. Many of the things they have a problem because when they have a policy, they don't go into the details of implementation on how implement it. They think it has been done, tomorrow you do it. Of course it fails. Where is the money for the university? JSS, where is the money? But I don't want us to go there. Let's come to the finance bill and what is going to happen tomorrow and what is the future of the country and how are we going to handle the Gen Z. That is what we're going to.
All right.
This trick of taking us into one area.
All right. This finance bill, of course, is just bringing about, as we've always said before, a raft of other issues. It's not really just the finance bill, but it's just the entire governance of the country.
Of course.
For the last, 2 years, maybe we've been in the administration, things have been going awry, according to the Gen Z. And so there's a systemic, undercurrent and a dark underbelly in terms of governance that needs to change. The issue of corruption is coming to the fore. Our money is being spent by the government very arbitrarily. They are raising questions of opulence and, of course, imprudence that is coming from government as well at the end of the day. When we circle back, we delve deeper into this. I know also ODM is saying it will recall some of MPs